Oh, what kind of a show is this going to be? My name's Quinlan. This is Melbourne Musos Live. Got to get to the ending. Hello, my name's Quinlan, as I said, Melbourne Musos Live. What are all these funky sounds? Look. Ooh. I have the European folk kit on as triggers on dear old Doris here. Look at me now. Ooh. Like that. How's the shoulders going, Chris? You see. What I would like to introduce to you is a technique called the Alexander technique, which is universal, not just for drums. But when you've got Doris here, what you have to do sometimes is play in very, well, some would say awkward positions. So what I'll do is talk about it a little bit. I've got the book here. Now, the Alexander technique is all about, I'll read it. I've got the book here, but I'm going to read from here first, from what I've got. The Alexander technique, named after its developer, Friedrich Matthias Alexander, 1869 to 1955, is a pseudo-scientific alternative therapy based on the idea that poor posture causes a range of health problems. That's pretty much what it is. There you go. So it comes from the point of view of Alexander the man began developing his technique principles in the 1890s to address his own voice loss during public speaking. He credited his method with allowing him to pursue his passion for performing Shakespearean recitations, which I do for impromptu TV and various other spoken word things, my other bookcase. And that's what goes on. Now, what it is, just quickly, even before I open up the book, it's all about smooth posture, doing different things. One of the early things, as I just said, to speak clearly in front of an audience and all that, to drum clearly. Now I'll go a bit into drumming. There you go. Now what happens is if you've got a single stroke roll, let's say, it triggers. So on it goes. You would have to sometimes do exactly the same thing, but in an awkward position. Now, if I just walked around like this all day, people go, what's wrong with you? You see, one of the things about drumming is that if we were drumming, doing our normal thing, you know, like that, and then kept going with the movements while people took the drum kit away, we'd be there going, you know, what's that guy doing on the third carriage of the Werribee line train there, mate? Let's go to somewhere else. You know, that kind of thing would be stupid. yet that is our instrument, you see. So what starts to happen is that what you want to try and do with the Alexander technique is to be balanced with good posture, all that. And when you're talking about different things like opera singers doing the death scene, and they're laying over and they're on, they're taking their last breath, but they still have to go, all that stuff. And what it is you get yourself in a position as awkward as it looks, but you have a clear flow of air and all that. There you go. So I will start to read a little bit. The Alexander technique brings together the collective experience of practitioners of the technique from all over the world to give a fascinating, inspiring picture of this educational therapy. It is not a rule book, rather, it is a program of releasing unnecessary tension and accumulated bad postural habits, encouraging your own self-awareness and giving conscious control back to the full person, the drummer. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Did you like that? Now, one of the first things you want to try and do, I've said it before, be a tripod. You've got 2 feet and a bot. And what often happens, probably the first most practical thing, is the common thing when students like to open, comes time to open the hi-hat. So you go, like that, and think of a tripod, yourself as a tripod, and then you take one leg off and you've got to balance and all that sort of stuff. So what actually happens, and this is where a boot cam comes down to, which I'll put up here, but what happens is keep your heels down at this stage, right, till you get your balance. And then when you lift up the hi-hat, all this business, what starts to happen is you're still a tripod, you're keeping balance, you see. Rocking motion, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. Keep that going until it's almost independent. That's what goes on. I hope you like the bombastic sounds I'm doing tonight. They're a bit different, I know that. I know some people are purist, and that's fine too. But what it is, I just thought I'd give it a bit of a crack. And you've got, when you have the piccolo toms on the left-hand side, or for so many people, the octopad, or some electronics, or the popcorn snare on the left, you're going to be around here. And then you might have to play the floor tom, and look at the positions you're in, you see. Now, how do you do that with a smooth, even flow? That's what the Alexander technique is all about. Do you see? I've got the bookmark here, I'll go to that. Performance strategy, preparation, action, recovery. Inhibition and direction. Observe the manner of preparation. Accept that impulses can be counterproductive. Stop to establish a readiness, an openness, a willingness to communicate. The desire to perform. Identify the wish to perform. The character's need or purpose. This will elevate your energy level. Increase lengthening and widening. Breathe out. Now, breathing out. Who knows the 4-4-4-4? What happens? Take a deep breath. Hold it for 4. Okay? Breathe out for 4. So, and then you breathe in, and so it goes. There's 4 4s, you see. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The breathing technique. You even see it on Facebook, you know, in the little things. Oh, 4-4, give it a try. And the other thing that you want to try and do as well as the breathing is when you're sitting at the kit, make sure that the kit is balanced around you, in the sense that what happens is that when you're sitting, I'll come back to that in just 2 seconds, but what happens is when you're sitting at the kit, there's something about the low centre of gravity. You see, you don't want to be too whatever. You want to be able to... be able to get everything you want to do, but you're still in that central position. And the other thing to do too in performance, own the stage. And that's not meant to be cocky or anything, but when you're standing on stage, you don't want to sort of go, no, I'm so nervous. Take those deep breaths and hold them and all that. When you're sitting or standing, looking, standing up and ready to sing, ready to strum, ready to drum, scan the audience, look at your crowd, make eye contact if you need to, okay? As long as a beer doesn't get thrown at you, you'll be doing okay. But what happens is look and make sure that what you're doing, you're scanning the people that you're about to play or perform for. It's very important. Anyone who's seen me play live, thank you for turning up. But I hope that you would remember that I sit down and go, and I have a look, that kind of thing. Make it personal. That people love it. That's what you're up on stage for. And that's what you've got. Okay, so there you have it. Anticipation. Think about the performance. Continue to give preventive directions. When I go, I will not disturb my neck any more than necessary. Do you see? Go means go. Give up trying to get it right and allow things to happen. Accept the unknown. Open to the unexpected. Improvise. Improvisation. Kind of thing. When I'm preparing for these shows, I get onto something. That's why I've got these triggers. I go, geez, I like that. I'm going to have a crack at that later on. Because what I do here on a Friday, I'll usually repeat on a Sunday for some kind of soundtrack. I call it continuum because it's just a continuing, it's almost like a journal entry on drums. And try to have it ready for some kind of soundtrack for an upcoming impromptu. That kind of thing where there's a bit of spoken word over the top. I have to leave a lot of space for the words, you see. So it's not, if I do a solo, I feel like I've failed. That kind of thing. So it's a lot of space. And then what happens is that when I'm actually preparing, warming up, writing my notes, getting the book out from the bookcase, all this biz, I get onto something and I play it and I think, gee, I wish I recorded that. And then I think, oh, well, I'll do it again. And it never comes out the same way twice. And that's fantastic for me, that kind of thing. When it's a written solo, like in my drum set manuals, or if I'm playing a specific, back in the day, of Frank Zappa piece, like The Black Page and all that with my buddies there in the old instrumental, you've got to get it right. We've got to get it right. But there's room to move is what this is all about. And there you go. So that's what it means. Go means go. Return to stillness. Inhibit and direct to re-establish full stature. Reflect on performance and ask the questions. Did I stiffen my neck and pull my head back any more than I needed to? Did I end gain? Did I do unnecessarily? Did I force my responses, or were they true to the moment? There you go. I might put that over here because I want to use that a little bit. Now what happens is, talking about the low centre of gravity and all of this sort of business, when I start playing, even if it's a little bit on the tricky side, have it on automatic. bit of a theme. Bring it down a bit, and all of a sudden, look at my position. Look at the hi-hat and the bass drum. I tend not to do that so much, kind of thing. It's left side, right side. I've talked about this in the past. I didn't want to get too carried away with all that. I just wanted to explain it a little bit. But you notice I've got right side cymbals and left side cymbals. There's nothing wrong with that. But then there's practicalities, because if I start putting cymbals up here, I mean, well, where am I going to put the camera? You know, that kind of thing. I mean, I love Iron Maiden and Nico McBrain and all that. But you notice you can't see him from the stage. They've got to, it's like, you know. But where is he? And he has to stand up and go, "Hi, everyone," that kind of thing. And I go, that's fine. They've even set up a camera behind him, so he's there going like that. But it's like there's a barrier between him and the audience, you know, that kind of thing. Which is fine for the band, because it works. It's sort of, you know, and they have a bit of fun with it, you know. But one of the things you want to be able to do is have direct contact. Look at the cameras, you know, in my particular case. And it's really quite an important thing, you know, that kind of stuff. And having said that, I always have a little bit of trouble with video calls sometimes. It's like, do I have to get out of my pajamas? Anyway. So what you want to do is set up your drum kit, whatever it might be, to be ergonomically conducive to your playing. You know, have it set up to, as well as you can, for the kind of style of playing that you do. One little thing that I like to just talk about very quickly is that when I'm playing, say, just the snare drum, if you've just joined us, I'm not going for the St. Anger trash can snare drum sound for Lars. It's actually an effect for the triggers with the European folk kit. Do you see, I can just maybe put in my little finger there. So when I go to the toms, it's the same kind of deal. I don't have the toms facing flat so that I'm almost stabbing the kit. And the further up things go when you have that kind of thing, there's one thing, watch Bill Bruford with the Yes reunion tour in the early 90s, I think actually 1990 and all that. And he was playing standing up with the Simmons pads, and that's where I took a bit of a leaf out of his book for these piccolo toms, because as it went up, they became more vertical. So you're playing like that, do you see? And you still got that sort of angle, you see? Now that's very Alexander technique, because what that does is that you're not there trying to play like that and you're screwing your neck up or anything like that, you see. So maybe have a look at your drum kit and see if you can just, you know, like when you're playing around, so I'll take the snares off here. So what I'm doing here, I can sort of do I can get around the kit without having a cymbal in a different angle or a tom at a different angle that's moved. So I tend to think of it almost like a guitar fretboard or a piano keyboard, like it's flat, sort of thing. All that biz. And that's what I try to do. And that's a little bit of a leaf out of the Alexander Technique workbook. Look it up. It's just a thing about posture. It's like, it goes all the way back, like when we were in class. Sit up straight. I've got the back here like that, but I don't use it because I've got a bad back or anything. Sometimes I have to lean back. And all this biz, and then what starts to happen is that I might lean back a little bit. But one of the things I've often found is that if I've ever had a drum stool with a back on it and I have a young student just starting out, there's a lot of problems about them sort of going like that kind of business. And the aforementioned lift the left foot off, and it's like a leg of the tripod gets taken away. And one of the little tricks of the trade being a teacher is take the problem away. So even with the drum stool, I'd often have them just swing around and leaning up and all that. And I just got a small metal little stool, round about the right size. I took the problem away. That's what happened. So I stopped, and this, I've got hit the pattern, that kind of stuff. Play on the label, and then later on. But none of that. You'll end up breaking the cymbal and. So, I better start wrapping the show up, hadn't I? Oh, my Lord. Okay, so there you go. Bit of a different show tonight, but it's about posture. It's universal. You can do it speaking, clear voice. You want to breathe. One of the other things about when you are playing, there's a lot of things when you're breathing. I already did the 4 4s, count to 4 for each one. All that. But there's a lot of... the cosmic downbeat. Oh! Breathe all the way through. I suppose that's where I'm going to love and leave you. So, my name's Quinlan, Melbourne Musos live, and what it is the idea of smooth posture and being graceful. There's something about that word graceful. Do something with grace, all that. And what it is something as simple as a single stroke roll. I'm coming right round to the beginning. You might start with a single stroke roll. But sometimes you're expected to do it in a weird position, but still keep your posture. Oh! Oh! I hope you enjoyed. A bit different, but it's universal. I'm doing it from a drum set point of view, but it can work for any instrument at all, especially any wind instruments. If you have to breathe properly, otherwise, you've got blue and that kind of thing. But nevertheless, now for a nice glass of